Hello, everyone. Welcome to Memory Static, the podcast that digs up the movies you liked to watch when you were little, talks about them, and throws a party to watch them. I'm your host, Bailey Moore, and I've got something very special in store for you today. The format of this episode is going to be a bit different because this episode is a bit different. I got the opportunity to speak with Gene Rankin and Jonathan Rogers, the creators of Halloween Special, Witches Night Out, and the Christmas Special, The Gift of Winter, as well as Jimmy Cross, who you may remember if you listened to our Witches Night Out episode, has been working very, very hard to bring the citizens of Anytown back to our televisions. This very conversation that I had with them is what I am so excited to share with you today. If you haven't already, I highly suggest you listen to the episode about Witches Night Out first. This conversation in this episode focuses on The Gift of Winter, but there will be some references to the witch as well. I also highly suggest you treat yourself and watch The Gift of Winter right now. Go do it right now. Go watch it before continuing with this episode. Not only because it is incredibly charming, but you'll have a better idea of what Jonathan and Gene and Jimmy are talking about. The Gift of Winter and Witches Night Out are most easily available in their beautiful remastering on Amazon Prime. Now, in this conversation, Gene shows me some wonderful drawings of the original concept art for the characters of Anytown. You can see these drawings for yourself at their official website, thegiftofwinter.com. And one more thing before we get to it. Without further ado, Jonathan Rogers, Gene Rankin, and Jimmy Cross. So I am here with the creators of both The Gift of Winter and Witches Night Out, Jonathan Rogers and Gene Rankin, as well as Jonathan's business partner and fellow animator, Jimmy Cross. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to meet you all.
Very glad to be here.
So let's just start at the beginning. Jonathan and Gene, how did the two of you start working on animation together?
Well, we took a course at Sheridan College, and John did a wonderful little film of his own called Evolue. It was his idea, actually. Why don't we do a Christmas special? So the two of us sat down. We had a lot of fun making up the story. You know, we weren't sure whether the kids should be orphans or who should be named what. So we had a lot of fun creating it and getting the storyline done and creating the figures. So I have some pictures I'd like to show you.
Oh, absolutely. So did the story come first before the character design?
Well, I think...
They sort of all came together, really.
John would draw away and I'd draw away and we'd figure out what was right. So these are the first sketches that were done of the characters. So I think you'll enjoy how silly they look.
So is that nicely?
That's nicely and malicious.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, these were the first sketches. So I think they're hilarious, actually.
They're great.
Rotten.
And Rotten was always purple.
Well, I think we have one of them in another color, but we decided on the colors to suit the personalities. Oh, and this one is Goodly, but we made him blue eventually.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, and this is one of the first ones of Malicious.
Oh my gosh. She's got so many different colors.
Yeah, I know. We fixed it all so that they had, I don't know where the other one of Malicious is, but anyway. And they were all done in design markers that look like this.
Okay, so they're much bigger than regular markers.
The one with the stripe on, it has a point, and this one has a flat nib.
So that gives you ability to use different textures?
Yeah, it does. And the thing is that the way I'm taking over, John, sorry, but I'll just finish this. Okay.
I was used to it. I still am.
You all are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Bailey, what I did, John did, well, let me start. John drew all the characters, did all the character animation, and he did it all by hand. You know, we didn't have digital. We had an ancient animation camera where you put stuff down and slid it over and clicked, so it took forever.
Mm-hmm.
It was very low tech. So John drew all the characters for the film, and he had to eventually work with his arm in a sling because it was so exhausting.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was, yeah, it was a strange sensation. I remember trying to get to sleep at night after drawing animation all day long. I mean, focused, you know. I couldn't see my arm, it was under the covers, but it was glowing in the dark. It was like it was radiating the strangest feeling. It was really made me feel good, you know, wow, you know, I'm left-handed and it served me well.
How long did the whole process take?
Oh Lord, I can't even remember how long it took us from the time.
It wasn't that long. It was 4 or 5 months, 6 months maybe,
Okay.
before we were all through. Yeah, I know it was very compressed because we didn't know what we were doing. So that was
We really didn't. We really
Yeah.
didn't.
and
When
we
I think about what we did back then and how difficult it was,
yeah.
you know.
It was huge fun when I look
Oh,
back on it. Oh, you know, but some of the problems were almost catastrophic. We had this old camera that had a shutter fault, and it put stripes of light across every frame of movie. And we ended up taking it to Hollywood to get a Wetgate CRI to smooth it out. Jimmy, you know what that? No, maybe not. I'm
No,
talking
I
film.
do.
I'm talking film, okay? Oh, you remember film?
Yeah. I was drawing. The guys teased me and said, "Hey, didn't you used to use charcoal and wood to make all the drawings and stuff?" And I was like, "Yes, I did."
Yeah.
Basically, I started in the stone age of animation as well, and then moved over to digital. Is what it means.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what I did. Animation has been traditionally done up until that time on clear acetate cells.
Mm.
And I wanted to draw. I wanted to freehand the whole thing and just stream. I had an unusual ability, which I've never found in any other animator. You can start with a single drawing and draw action all the way to the end. I just had a knack for doing it.
That's
So
amazing.
I wanted to draw. So I found that you could get transparent cells that were lightly frosted, and they would take a grease pencil. So that's how I did the whole thing. We had some help painting because we didn't know how to paint cells. So we got some cell painters, and they painted the back, and when we shot them, and it was fun, sort of. The prospect of doing this video today brought me back some happy memories over the last week or so.
Oh, good.
That's great.
And some uncomfortable, some agonizing memories also. Money, oh my, we were doing it on a shoestring, you know.
What was it we got from CBC? $30,000, and we thought,
Yeah, $30,000 for a half-hour animated cartoon.
Wow.
Wow.
Compared today, what the time it would take and the money it would take, I can't imagine doing anything for $30,000.
No. You can only do it if you do it in your living room.
Right.
And the camera is on the dining room wall, you know, and you're living in a small house in North Toronto and driving an old car.
That is insane.
Did you do it all from your house?
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
One thing you may not have known, Bailey, is their daughter did the voice of Tinder for Witches Night Out.
I did not know that.
Naomi did
Oh,
the
yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
She did the voice.
Yeah.
That's
They
awesome.
participated. Ben did a lot of camera work, and he was just this kid, you know, in his teens, but he knew how to gauge everything and turn this and turn that and click. Oh, yeah. I could never quite manage it, but they really pitched in.
How old were they then?
Oh,
Gosh, I'm
man.
trying to remember, 12-ish and 12 and
10.
15. They're both about 60 now, so
I bet they thought
Yeah.
it was so cool to be a part of that.
And you look at pictures of them as kids when they were younger, one is small and one is tender. I mean, literally.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, and I turned to Ben. I go, "Oh, so you're small."
Yeah,
Like that.
When you first started on it, was it already planned to be a television special?
Yes.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, we wrote the story and put in the characters, and we tried it all out. We made a presentation to CBC in Toronto, and Gene tells me that I pitched the story, but I don't remember.
Well, John, you were on fire. You were dancing around the room and you're doing, telling the story. You were animated. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I know what I can be like, but strangely, I had almost no recollection. I remember the guy that we pitched to, and there was a woman who was there also. And they were executives. I can't remember their names at this moment, but they're very, very patient, open-minded people, and they actually let a couple of kids come in and pitch a half-hour show for their television network. And actually, they were willing to go along with it. And ours was the first one they'd ever contracted, the first animated one, produced in Toronto.
That's so cool. I can say that, well, I didn't grow up watching The Gift of Winter. I grew up watching Witch's Night Out, but it's always stood out to me as very unique.
Oh, unique, very unique. Oh, well, good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I've always loved it.
When I read a review once said it was so bad it was awesome.
Oh,
because they enjoyed the show and they liked the wit and they liked the action and the treatment and the look and everything, but it was just pathetically primitive, and it was so bad it was awesome. And I, that's kind of cool.
Oh, John, tell them about the music. Because remember, we got Trump, and
yes. I
yes.
love that.
Had a mellotron that he used for the music.
Was Peter Roshan? Yeah. Young genius, boy band leader, and very energetic and very creative, and he just dove right in. It was the whole show was pretty much finished by the time we added music and sound effects and a little extra of this and that, because we met some very gifted people who had experience and technology and the ability to put it into effect. And we made some really, really good friends, as one does under difficult circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
People get cooperative and helpful. And, I know, we could do this. Hey, could we do that? Oh, okay. All right, let's go. And the voices were fun because we did it with the Second City TV people. We used to get a call at the studio from SCTV, which had a theater in Toronto, and say, could you guys come over to our show tonight and bring your staff with you? Because we can't get people in here to sit at the tables and order coffee. And so we'd show up with as many people as we could muster. And
including our kids.
Yeah, we brought our kids as well. No alcohol, right, yeah. So we got to know Gilda and Dan and
Jerry and
Valerie Bromfield and Jerry, yeah.
Catherine O'Hara, yeah.
And yes, Catherine O'Hara. She was a youngster. She was not even in SCTV at that time. She came in after they moved over to the old fire hall. But anyway, that's another story.
Right.
But
yeah, I noticed that The Gift of Winter is Dan Aykroyd's very first IMDb credit, which I thought was really neat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I really appreciate about both Witch's Night Out and The Gift of Winter, and I've always really liked and admired, is how y'all came up with your own original lore for very familiar holidays. And that's like something that I've thought about. Like, it probably started with Witch's Night Out and thinking about that, how I've tried to come up with my own ideas, like how you tack something onto something that's already so familiar, like how Rudolph started in a song and stuff like that. And how did y'all generate those ideas? Because they're so creative and awesome.
We were not on drugs, that's for sure. We were parents. We had little kids. We had no money, so there was no extra influence. We just started up, but we thought together and we planned together and we'd finish each other's sentences and we'd come up with ideas that were just bang, bang, bang. We had a great time.
Yeah, we really did. It was a lot of, it was frustrating, but writing it was a huge amount of fun.
Yeah.
We kill ourselves laughing about what we were going to have the characters do and what their names would be and so on until we settled it,
Yeah.
How did you come up with the names?
Well, it was really sort of a psychological thing, the different aspects of people, right?
Yeah.
The stalwart, opinionated part of us and the little kitty parts of us and the cutesy parts, and the playful parts and all that kind of stuff. So that's really where it came from.
The fun-loving part, I guess, is Bazooey.
Yeah, the fun-loving part, and that was John's creation. Yeah, we sort of looked at, people can be many things. They can be mean, and they can be nasty, and they can be nice, and they can be stupid, all that sort of stuff. And, of course, nicely is just overly sweet.
There's an interesting origin for Bazooey's name, because our son Ben was in school, and we met his teacher, and Ben was a little bit overactive maybe at the time, and she said to me as his father, she said, sometimes he just drives me Bazooey. And I went, whoa, there's a name.
Light bulb.
Yeah, right.
That's a really good story.
Yeah, it is.
If you're in creative mood and inquiring and you're open to all kinds of influences, as Jean and I have always been, I'm happy to say it was a wonderful life. You pick up from all kinds of things you don't expect. And if something pops up and it sort of lingers in your mind and it joins up with something else. But you still have to function. You're still a parent. You still got to buy groceries. You still got to make sure there's gas in the car and stuff like that. It's just old times, really, and very, very, very fond feelings about attached to it. And who knew when we finished The Gift of Winter that we would continue on and do Witches' Night Out and go from CBC in Toronto. And I did the same act, I guess, when I took it to NBC in New York. And they ended up taking me out to the airport in a limo,
We made $30,000 on the first one, right?
Yeah.
The Gift of Winter was $300,000.
Witches' Night Out, you mean?
Witches' Night Out, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big difference.
A little more like it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious if you knew that you were going to be continuing with the characters into a series of specials going into Witches' Night Out while you were making Gift of Winter.
Well, it's bound to come to mind because it's just logical. Because success on television leads to more and more exposure.
We'll use these characters again for the Witches' Night Out.
Yeah, it sort of evolved that way. We were into them. And the witch, I finally figured out the witch was probably derived from my mother. But anyway, that's not unusual.
Well, the witch is a pretty cool character.
Well, I did have a picture of the first witches we drew, which were just hilarious. Anyway, I think the story goes like this. John drew a witch and I drew a witch. Do you remember that?
No.
Well, you drew this little squatty witch that looked like Hannah Trefelt. She was cute.
Yeah.
And so I thought, no, she's got to look like Gloria Swanson. So we created the characters together, and John literally did most of the drawing. But with the witch, I didn't like his idea of a witch. So I drew my own witch, and he loved it and took off from that. Do you remember that, John? Probably
no.
not.
No. So the witch certainly became me and I
Oh
became
yeah,
the
oh
witch.
yeah. No,
A
you.
lot of her expression and action and so on is how I felt, how I
Yeah,
move and her
that's
attitude,
true, and you look like her.
facial expressions. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
and you animated all her scenes, correct? You did all of her scenes.
I did every animated drawing in the whole show.
Yeah.
And with that kind of money, we couldn't hire any staff. So there's no such, either do it yourself or forget it.
And it's so funny now that I know him. When I look at the scenes that he animated with the witch, and then there's another character that's in the scene, especially like when the witch is hugging Bazooey and saying, what's your name?
Mm-hmm.
You could tell his drawing of Bazooey and the witch compared to the other animators that were on that show. So those are just things I look at and I can tell.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can tell. He has a different way. He drew Bazooey a different way, where I think that's why I fell in love with the series, because of those drawings that he did compared to the traditional drawings that the other guys were doing, where they were just like the same characters, but they weren't as organic as what John was doing.
They would draw the first drawing and the last drawing, and then one in between, and then they would draw other drawings in between to make the action fluid and form and all that squash and impact and all that kind of stuff. Nah, I didn't want that. I'd start with drawing number one and just keep drawing another one, another one, another one, another one. And I loved it because they were loose and free and sketchy and expressive, much more expressive than I could get if I tried to break it all down into in-betweens and stuff. It just seemed to make it sort of static. Animation is action.
So Bailey, what I don't know if you understand, but when we do traditional animation in general, a director will come in and he'll draw the first pose, the second pose, and the third pose, and maybe two in between there. And then we have an in-betweener that goes in and fills in all those other spaces.
Yeah.
That's good for staging and positioning, and it's the way to do it. But the way he did it, he went from beginning all the way to the end. So you don't know what's going to happen at the end of the scene, because you're basically putting all of your acting into this drawing, and you're just going and going and going until you get to the end. You're not planning it out. So the result of that, sometimes, which happens in Witch's Night Out, it becomes a brilliant masterpiece of expression, because he's expressing the character all the way through. That's why the witch is so alive and she's so in your face, because he took it from the first drawing all the way to the end, and he put all of his soul into that. It's just so much soul in that cartoon, because they did it that way.
I will say that both Bazooey and the witch always stood out to me because of the expressive, like not just the face, but the whole body was expressive and fluid. And
I did all the witch in Witch's Night Out, of course, and most of Bazooey, but not all. But there's Jimmy just described the difference beautifully. Yes. Thanks, Jimmy.
I was curious because, I'm really excited to be able to talk to animators, because I've been a fan of animation for a really long time, and I've never really gotten to speak with people that have actually done it. I've watched some documentaries, and I've seen things where people have a mirror in front of them and they're drawing their own faces into their characters. And you said that you were putting a lot of yourself into the character. Did you use a mirror like that? No.
I just feel it, I'm sure I had facial expressions when I was drawing, but I didn't know, that just goes into the hand and onto the surface,
That's so amazing.
So not only that, but just the thing that blends everything together on both cartoons are the backgrounds as well.
Now we're getting to it. Yep.
Yeah, it's never been attempted before in the way she did it and the way it was done. Let's talk a little bit about that, because
a totally different look.
The backgrounds are beautiful.
Yes, they are.
The backgrounds were a lot of fun, because with John's fluid drawings of the characters, sometimes I'd have to do 4 backgrounds instead of 1, because he'd have the character moving forward and going back and over to the side. It was wonderful, actually. So I wanted something soft, especially for the gift of winter with snow and so on. So I used the design markers and Varsol on this wonderful paper. And I had to draw the scenes all backwards, because then I would, when they were done in the marker, I would turn them over onto more sheets of paper and flood the whole thing with Varsol so that it came out soft. And about maybe the second or third print would be perfect. So it would look like this one.
And Bailey, that's all with those markers.
Right. I know, that's incredible.
When she said Varsol, that's a brand name. It's actually Mineral Spirits.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, well, I called it Varsol, Mineral Spirits.
Well, nobody knows what it is, so that's why I'm saying Mineral Spirits.
Is that a process that you came up with?
Yes.
Like, you invented it? That is so cool.
Totally original.
Well, cool, maybe. But I would never do it again, and I would never tell anyone else to do it. There's got to be better ways, because the stink of the stuff I used and the mess it made was really something else. I mean, it was a lot of fun and a lot of surprises, but not the best way to do it. I don't know how you can get that kind of look otherwise, though.
Well, yeah. Well, now, I mean, it definitely wouldn't look as organic as you did it, but, you know, now we just use Photoshop, and there's different programs and things like that, but it doesn't capture the hand to paper, the human tool. It's not the same, you know.
No, it isn't. Yeah.
No, there's never been anything on TV or anywhere else that I've seen that has that special, original, unique look. It really does set the show apart from anything. And Witches Night Out too, same. Oh, and
Absolutely.
Afterwards, remember, Gene, you used to come in with pencil and emphasize certain shapes and doorways and things that needed a little solidity.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, you know, once the thing was done, then I'd punch it up with pencil.
Now, these are things that they instinctively picked up, Bailey, doing these cartoons. This is all of them. They didn't taught them this. You know, this is just.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah. See, this is one of the prints, you know, the Varsol Mineral Spirit prints. And then I've used, looks like it's 4B pencil on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when I went out there to visit them, Bailey, and when I was walking through the streets of Toronto, these are places in Toronto that she.
Oh, really?
Like I was like, oh my God, that's the street that Small and Tender walked down. That's the street that they did.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's so neat.
So, you know, of course it looks different now, but I was just amazed. I was like, I felt like I was in the world, because these are just places that she's.
And she never took a photograph of anything or anywhere. She would do occasional sketches of these buildings or this park or something like that. No, she just stood at her drawing board and it just came out.
One of the things I've just loved is color. I'm a color nut, okay? And I actually designed the color course for Sheridan College years ago. I was commissioned to do it. So I consider myself a colorist, or whatever you want to call it. And I remember John and I would go for drives outside the city just before the snow would arrive. And I would just soak in the colors and the way the trees looked, you know, the way the landscape looked. And it was just there to bring out.
I grew up in Texas, so
Oh,
we don't have much snow. But
Yeah.
and tell them only 2 days worth, please.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. No, that's good. Has it been a little while since y'all have revisited The Gift of Winter, watching it?
Yeah.
Me personally, yes, I haven't seen it for a long time. I'm going to see it now. I'll see it after we're done here. Maybe I'll look at it. Maybe not. I don't know. I showed it to, there's some students who came to my studio about 10 years ago, and I showed it to them. And I hadn't seen it for a long time. And they said, whoa, this is so cool. They weren't artists or anything. They were just, I don't know who they are, high school kids. And I thought, wow, you know, it's kind of fresh and different, and maybe it has some merit.
I think it was 2 years ago you showed it at
Birchfield Penny.
Yeah. You showed it there. You showed it at the.
Yeah, but I wasn't there. I was there. I came in after or something, because
Yeah,
they.
you came, but the problem was they had this huge screen. Maybe
Oh,
it
that was
Witch's Night
that was
Out.
Witch's Night Out.
Yeah, did they show Gift of Winter?
I don't think so. I think it's been showed at the Castellani at
Oh,
Niagara
yes, I think
University.
you're right.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, Jimmy, you know what it's like. Well, maybe not because you don't make mistakes. But for
Come
people,
on, listen to
when
this.
you don't know what you're doing, like me, and you look at what you did years before, and you say, "Oh, no, I would have done that better. I would have done it differently. Why didn't I?" Oh,
If you didn't do it the way you didn't, I wouldn't be here today.
No,
no,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I'll say that I just recently shared it with a bunch of my friends, and we got together. And part of the podcast is that I have people talk about the things that we've watched, and they loved it. They thought it was so charming and very funny. They loved the humor in it, and they wish that they had all seen it when they were younger too.
Oh.
Well, maybe now they can see it. They're older,
My sister was texting me while she was watching it. She's like, "I really love this," and then she was texting pieces of The Gift of Winter that she thought were really funny the whole time while she was watching it.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
nice to hear.
Oh, that cheers me up. I'll tell you.
Some people, they get caught up in, well, the thing is, and it's still this way, where a lot of people, they look at animation, the first thing they think is, okay, Disney or Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And
yes.
they're stuck into this mindset of everything is supposed to move like this. And they kind of lose the story because they're looking at the quality and things like that. But with this one, it's no more limited than any Warner Brothers or Hanna-Barbera cartoon that was in that time. If you look at the story and look at the situation and these characters, that's what makes this cartoon great and charming, and that's why it's timeless. Both cartoons, actually, there's a lot of weight behind them. You just have to be smart enough to see that.
Yeah, I'll say Witch's Night Out has always been one of my favorite Halloween specials, and now The Gift of Winter is a new favorite winter special.
Yes.
Well,
That's lovely.
there's a Thanksgiving special and a Valentine's special that's ready to go into production.
We're getting that together, and we're going to do it the right way. We're getting the right funding and the right backing behind it, because these cartoons, as well as the classics, are going to stay with the family. My job is to protect them and protect these projects. And where I come in, my story is just incredible, how I met these two wonderful human beings. I don't want to start crying, but there's nothing in the world that I would trade this opportunity or this experience for in my life. I'm so proud and happy to be a part of this and know them. And it's gotten bigger than just me watching two cartoons as a kid and just dreaming. And
I remember you called me one time, the first time.
Yeah.
My phone rings, I pick up the phone, and you said, "Are you the guy who did Witch's Night Out?" or words to that. Yeah, let's talk, and we just talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. Bing, bing. I'm listening to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He understands, he responds, he's got it. So we talked for quite a while, and many, many times after, and we're still talking. Look.
Well, I pretty much started in animation as a kid. I was drawing as a kid, and when I saw Gift of Winter first when I was younger. It did air out here in the States, and it hit me, but it didn't hit me as much as Witch's Night Out did. It hit Witch's Night Out. I saw that when it first aired on NBC, and immediately when it popped on, the first scene, I see this witch, and I was glued. I was just like, I couldn't stop looking. I just couldn't stop. And through the whole cartoon, there was a lot of mess going on behind us. My mom was screaming in the background. They were trying to make me eat a TV dinner or something like that, from what I remember. But I just could not keep my eyes off of the screen. I just couldn't. And I remember the name Small and Tender from the Gift of Winter one. And I said, this isn't the same thing. And when I saw this, it just, from that moment, I just kept drawing. I mean, every single day, just drawing and animating and trying to, and just dreaming about these people and dreaming about this town, and just even the colors and the backgrounds, it all just caught me. It just, something hit me, and it hit me on another level of a human level. I said, you know, being an African-American man, I said, how come the world can't look like this, where everybody's different colors like this?
Oh, interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, they're small, tender, they're brother and sister, but one's orange and one's yellow. Why can't, you know, and they don't even care. They don't care. They're not even mentioning.
Yeah.
No,
that,
that's
oh, you're yellow. It just connected to that. And it wasn't until years later that it showed up on Fox again when I was a teenager. And I was hooked again. And that's the point where I said, you know, I looked at the credits. I said, I got to meet these people. I got to find out who did this. And what happened was, once the internet hit, I started typing in their names. You couldn't find really much. It was just, you know, you would see Gene's name, you would see John's name, but that was pretty much it. This is like 98, you know, and I went off to college, went off to Cal Arts and started my career. And I owe it to them because of that cartoon. And every once in a while I would go online. I get this obsessive thing where I went online, try to look more. You would find a little bit more about them, like their logo would come up and a little bit more about John than Gene. Yeah. And then it wasn't until 2012 that I saw an article. It was an article for like the Maple Leaf something, and they were doing Let's Play Grown-Ups at the time. And it was an article, and John was on there. And when I immediately saw his face, I said, he's in Witch's Night Out. He's one of the characters with the beards. You know, see, that's him. And I just said, this is all I have. I just have this picture. And I was married at the time. I showed Margot, I said, this is him. This is him. That's all I had at the time, until one day I just happened to just type his name in Facebook. And
but I had changed my name.
Yeah, this guy shows up, and I immediately, it was almost like a tunnel was around me. I said, this is him. Oh. He's older now, it's him. And I literally just like, you know, like the camera just whoosh, like that. I was like, oh my God, it's him. I said, Margot, should I contact him? She says, yeah, contact him. What will it hurt? Because in my mind, you know, like when you don't see your idols at first, they seem like they're huge. I didn't know what this guy was doing in his life. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on with her. And then immediately after I wrote him, I told him, thank you so much for making this cartoon. Thank you so much for inspiring me to become an animator. You know, you guys made this cartoon and it changed my whole life. I love it so much. I just expect, hey, thanks, kid. You know what I mean? Or something like that, you know, a virtual rub on the head. But he immediately wrote me back and he's like, I want to know who you are. Who are you? I wanted to get to know you. You said you did this and this and this. Who are you? Contact me back. And then I was like, okay, I mean, Margot, should I contact him again? You know? So we went back and forth on emails, and then finally we talked on the phone, and he did the voice of Goodley, by the way, in Witch's Night Out. So I said, oh my God, you sound like an older Goodley. You know, and we immediately just, John, we were going back and forth and just talking, and it felt like I was talking to my older self. It felt like I was talking to just a soul that just belongs with me, you know?
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I'm a content creator, I'm an animator, I do character designs. I just started directing at the time. And he said, we should come up with some stories and ideas and stuff like that. And I said, whatever happened to the older cartoons? Because they've been out of circuit for almost 25 years. They were just gone. They were just in the memories of kids that were my age and kids that grew up in the 90s on the Disney Channel. And he said, well, I've moved on, and that they're somewhere in a landfill somewhere or whatever. And I just didn't accept that. I said, if I can help you find these things, could I help you? And he said, sure. And he said, do what you have to do. If you can find them, that'd be great. You know, in the meantime, let's come up with some new ideas for Small and Tender and the Anytown group. And no brainer. I've been thinking about these kids since I was 7 years old. So just melting into the story was nothing. He was surprised. He goes, how do you know these characters so well? I said, I watched this thing 20,000 times, you know? So we came up with the other ideas, and then I met Gene, and it doesn't get any better than this. How much more can this get better? And until I found the footage of both films. One was in another state, in other words, it was somewhere else. And I'm still thinking to myself, I can't believe this. I'm going to remaster these classics.
Right. Yes. I can't remember where you found them.
I was able to remaster them and get them colored. And that was a long process to get that done,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
calling on friends to get some work done and this and that, and doing a lot of drawings to trade in, you know. And we got distribution for both, and it's continued to stay in distribution, and I'm continuing to find platforms and places and things. And actually, they made a little bit of money on the first time we distributed it.
That's
You
right.
know, now with the funding process for the new ones, I am playing a lot of catch up because of the loss of 25 years of it not being in syndication and stuff. But I think we're doing very well, and we're getting eyes on it. Hence why you're doing this interview right now, because you're seeing things. You're seeing Facebook posts. You're seeing Instagram. You're seeing all these different things that I'm concocting and putting together to build this franchise, to keep it going and keep it going for years and years. I look at myself as a messenger to pass this on for others.
Wonderful.
I think about it, and I was born to be a part of their lives and a part of this thing. It's not necessarily obsession. I'm a part of it. And I was talking to you about this earlier, Bailey, how the universe works and how they thought they were just making a cartoon. And somewhere millions and millions of miles away, they touched some kid. And for me to be where I am now is truly humbling. And I'm still in love and in debt to these two people. And they are a part of my family, and they'll always will be. And I love them so, so much.
Oh, Jimmy, you're just, I just love you two so much, and Margot and all your beautiful children.
Oh, yeah, those kids are amazing.
I love the pictures that you send. But you're a guardian angel or something.
It's something that if I never, you know, like say for instance, we never get funding for new ones, which I'm not accepting. But if we never move anything forward, the fact that I'm where I am now and I'm able to help them and I'm able to join in with them, this is pretty much a big thing in my life. It's my family, of course, my children and my wife.
Yeah.
I adore them more than anything in the world. This is right along with that, because it's a childhood dream, and it's something that I don't think anybody in this world has ever experienced. I'm very special for that. And it's all due to them and these wonderful characters that they're a part of my life. They're just a part of my world. And, you know, Jonathan is just, I always call him my second dad. He's just, I will do anything I can to help them and help him. No one's going to take advantage of them. No one's going to take advantage of these stories. Not as long as I'm breathing.
Yeah, right. Huh.
Yeah.
It's such an incredible story, and so special that this is like a childhood dream come true. Like, this really, really amazing.
It's more than just the brilliant work and the brilliant artwork that Gene did, and the brilliant mind of Jonathan and the brilliant mind of both of them. The Anytown stuff has become deeper than that. This is what we're doing, is a message to the world. The message of, we're humans. We're all people. We're small. We're tender. We're zooey. We're malicious. We're rotten. Yeah. And we're all just people. And they live in a town that can be anywhere, any place.
Yes.
And once we get past that and we look at this cartoon for what it really is, which I'm really pushing for the rest of the world, especially with the stuff we're going through now, we need Anytown. We need small and tender and rotten and malicious and zooey to show us that we are human. This is lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It is.
Okay,
and they're messengers, and we're messengers to the world. And that's what intrigues me so much more about this thing. That's why I think about it 24 hours a day, because these cartoons are a message to the world.
This is why philosophers come up with concepts like destiny, and life just opens up and makes sense and comes together and creates.
Exactly.
It can also destroy, and we're not doing that. We're not trying to cheat. We're not trying to get stuff. We're doing what we love doing. And we really don't care much about anything else. Jimmy, you don't. You're just doing what you want to do.
Yeah. And this is what also another thing that I'm doing, and you can see that, is that these two deserve to be in the same stratosphere or even higher than all the other holiday specials, like the Charles Schultz stuff and the Bill Melendez stuff. They deserve their
Absolutely.
place in the sun, and it's going to happen, and it's happening now. This Witches Night Out and The Gifted Winter are in your face, and I'm pushing it in your face, and I'm
Wow.
pushing them in your face because they deserve to be in this category, because it's something that it just deserves to be up there, and it will be. These characters are going to live forever. They're going to live forever.
Yeah.
Where are all the places that the specials can be found now?
Right now we have them on distributed through Mill Creek Entertainment, and Mill Creek is sending them out because physical media is pretty much gone. There's no more DVDs and things like that. But Mill Creek has them on a digital platform now. So we have them on Amazon Prime. We have them on Shout TV. We have them on Tubi TV, Vudu, Google Play, and YouTube, paid YouTube. And so they're there for now, but right now I'm in the process of looking for bigger distribution and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just keeping those going until we hit hard with the newer projects. You know, it's a long process, especially when you're trying to do an independent cartoon without the backing of Warner Brothers or a Cartoon Network, who will basically,
Absolutely.
if they're paying for it,
Yeah.
it's not going to be ours anymore, you know. So we're trying
Right.
to do a independent route, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it works. It's just incredible future for what we're going to be doing for these characters.
Well, the remastering looks wonderful. I had never seen it so clear and with so much detail, because I'd seen it on a worn out VHS. So
All right.
it was really, really great. I saw them on Amazon Prime, and it looks so good.
Mhm.
Ah,
Yeah, and you can actually see the artwork and the brilliant backgrounds that Gene did, and the animation. And I literally was in the editing bay when they first put the film to screen, and it was even much clearer than what you're seeing on Amazon Prime. It was actually frame by frame, and because I grew up watching the VHS as well.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, I was like, this isn't the cartoon. Why is it? It's beautiful. It just looks so great. And I just literally, the guy was like, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, tears just falling. It's like, I've never seen it look like this. This is beautiful. It's brilliant. So yeah. So
Is this on Amazon Prime?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta watch it on that.
Yeah, Amazon is probably the best place to get to. The other,
Great.
yeah.
Well, I have one more question for everybody. So Memory Static is a podcast about movies that we loved when we were little and impacted us in some way or another. What movie do you have a specific memory watching when you were little that made some sort of impression?
oh my. Well, in animation, I remember Walt Disney's Fantasia. And that was, that kind of stuck with me for a while. It was enchanting. And I saw Pinocchio and I saw Snow White.
Yeah, I loved Snow White. I think that was the first I ever saw.
Snow White's beautiful.
Yeah.
How about you, Jimmy, other than Witches Night Out, of course?
Yeah, right. I was gonna say. No,
Yeah.
I probably, when I was a kid, I was really into the Japanese monster sci-fi, Godzilla and all that stuff, because my sister would watch that. Probably my favorite movie, let me think, when I was a kid. Oh, there was a movie it's a monster movie. It was with Russ Tamblyn called War of the Gargantuas.
Oh, sounds awful.
So there was two Frankenstein monsters. One was green and one was brown. And the green one went around in cities and ate people. And the brown one was his brother, and he was a good one. And he was telling his brother to stop eating people. And the brother didn't want to do it. So they had this big battle out in Tokyo, and they fell into the ocean, and the volcano ate them. And,
I'm going to have to look that one up. That sounds much fun.
So from that point, I became a big sci-fi Japanese monster fan, and kind of followed, that up until I was older and stuff like that. I love the Muppets as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was intrigued with Jim Henson for a while as well, just because of the relationship he had with Kermit. Like, I felt that Jim Henson's soul went into the puppet. And then when Jim Henson passed, Kermit died with him.
Right.
So
Kind of, yeah. Jim Henson was an originator too.
Oh, yeah.
And he would use sounds rather than words. You know, gadang, 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 and boom, boom, boom. These puppets, you know, making no sense except that they were interacting and they made perfect sense.
Right.
It was entertaining and amusing, and it led to more.
Yeah, it's incredible when you use your soul to do these kind of things, how it can affect other people, hence these two cartoons. So
Absolutely.
Whoa, this has been a trip.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for taking the time to share with me. And I'm really excited to edit all this together and to get it out there for everybody to listen to, because I think everybody's going to really enjoy listening to all of this.
Well, I do want to see, you know, what all comes of this. It's fascinating. And I'm egocentric, you know. So.
Don't we know?
Are you?
Don't we know? Don't we know?
I thought it was a secret.
Oh my
Damn
God. I thought I was bad.
Yeah, really. Oh, you are bad, Jimmy. Okay, you're bad. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Again, this has been really amazing. And I just want to take the opportunity to personally thank both of you for these really incredible animated specials. I've always loved Witch's Night Out, and now Gift of Winter is another favorite of mine. And it's just been such a pleasure meeting y'all and talking with you and listening to what you have to say. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Bailey. And thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, Jimmy.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye, Bailey.